CELPIP speaking exam, a lot of people lose marks for one thing. This one thing is common throughout. I would say 98% people do it, even the best of the best. And this one thing is making you lose marks whether you know it or not. This one thing is the reason why a lot of people get stuck at 8 and never cross a 9 and have to do repeat attempts, and it's a very simple thing. This thing is called umms. Is not a word. It's not a real word, which is why you lose marks every time you use it, but it also falls into the category of fillers. Fillers are words or phrases like like, you know, and things like that, which do not make sense in the context of what you're trying to say. So it's okay if you do this in day-to-day life, but it's not okay if you do this in an English exam like CELPIP. You will lose marks because it shows to the examiner that you are not knowing or fluent of what you're about to say next. You are nervous, which is why you feel like you need to say to fill in these spaces, and you're not creative. You don't have the vocabulary or the thoughts to put in words what you actually want to say. Now, what can we do to avoid You may think that, okay, he told me not to say I'm not going to say Surprisingly, I say this almost all the time. And I give students feedback when you ask for feedback via email, which is free, by the way. Email is in the description. We'll send you free feedback if you ask for it. When I give feedback, I say don't use ums. Next speaking recordings, again, don't use ums and don't use ums. I keep repeating, but it keeps happening again and again because it is a habit which is very, very hard to get rid of. But there are a few tips and tricks that will help you in order to eliminate that. Number one is the use of connectors. We have a video here on how to use connectors effectively. Check that out on this channel as well. Connectors are furthermore, likewise, moreover, whenever you're trying to use something like instead of that, use connectors when you're switching between your points. If you're using concluding words or you're trying to get into your conclusion, instead of saying before the conclusion, try to say therefore, hence, thereby. If you're trying to change points, say on the other hand, however, although, use fancy connectors instead of using Next, this guy is someone you should all look at or listen to, and this guy's name is Barack Obama. When he speaks or when he delivers a speech, you can see how he pauses, and that is perfect. That tone of talking got him the election twice. So this is something people like. This shows confidence, this shows control, and it's by research proven that if you speak slower with pauses, you are seen as more confident, and that helps you in CELPIP with your mark for tone. Hence, speak like Barack Obama, or in other words, try to pause more instead of just saying You don't have to keep saying you don't have to constantly keep talking. 1 or 1.5 seconds of pause is completely fine, especially between your points. When you do it between your points, sometimes you don't even need to use connectors because you show the examiner, hey, look, I'm switching now because I'm using a pause. It also gives you a deep breath and also gives you time to think about what you got to say next. Plus, it's really good for the examiner because sometimes you are saying multiple points, but if you're saying it in a rush, the examiner might not be able to follow. Give them a pause too between your sentences and statements, and this will help the examiner also see, all right, this was one point, then he paused or she paused, that's the next point, and that's the next point. That's the strategy you want to use, and make sure to be conscious while you're speaking. Avoid ums at all costs and replace them with pauses, connectors, or statements and sentences. This will help you immensely.